We're probably going to be joined by some other guests a little bit later on in the program. But for right now, I would like to introduce you to a woman. We're just going to call her Nikki because that's her name. And Nikki's a dear friend of mine, and so is her husband. Nikki's also a big fan of one of my books that I wrote. And I wanted to bring Nikki on tonight because I want an average person that's going through this whole coronavirus, epidemic thing with the rest of us. And I wanted to ask her during points of time during the evening of how it's affecting her and her family, that sort of thing. Nikki, would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for being with me. I really appreciate it. Folks, you probably saw my thumbnail out there, and was it meant to be a joke? Well, I guess the thumbnail was meant to be funny. I mean, my good friend and partner Tim actually created it. However, it's really not a joke. You see, I've got some questions at this point, and it's something that it's a very sensitive thing. But in my view, it's a question that needs to be asked at this point, whether it's private or not. Now, we've had a lot of politicians over the years that had wives and they had children and they had, the perfect photo, right? And it turns out that these politicians were actually living a double life. They were living a lie, essentially. Okay. In fact, it's happened so often that it even happened recently with, I'm not going to name names, but the former mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, I believe it was, who was also a gubernatorial candidate during the last election cycle and almost won the state of Florida. As it happens, he was recently, and I think it was last month, as I'm not mistaken, he was found in a hotel room intoxicated with a gay prostitute, another man, and some pretty hard drugs. Not only did that happen, but there was also feces found on the bed, apparently. Rumor has it that this former gubernatorial candidate and mayor was actually naked in the room with these people. Okay. I mean, I wonder what was going on there, right? So it's not uncommon for this sort of thing to happen. But the problem I have is that where do we draw the line when something like this, or potentially something like this, is affecting our nation? It's affecting our people, our very society, and most certainly our vote. What I'm talking about, folks, or more importantly, who I'm talking about, is I'm talking about Adam Schiff. And Representative Schiff is really interested in the president for some reason. He is actually fixated on President Trump in a way that I believe to be more than political, let's say. Now, as it happens, I have a friend who is a Democrat, just putting it out there, voted for Hillary Clinton. He happens to be a psychiatrist and has been for 27 years, well, probably 28 now. So 27 or 28 years. And I spoke with him. This was back during the impeachment. He and I went out and had a few drinks together, dinner, that sort of thing. Real nice guy, beautiful family. His kids are grown and out of the house and college and all those things. And very smart man, even though I do not agree with him politically. But he said some things that I found very interesting, intriguing, let's say. And he started laying evidence out that perhaps Representative Schiff may, in fact, be hiding a very deep and dark interpersonal secret from the American people regarding the president. And he said, look at the facts. And he starts laying out the evidence. Well, the evidence is that back during the campaign, back when Donald Trump was running for office in 2016, there were a couple of Russian DJs, and they pranked Adam Schiff. And how they pranked him was that they actually got him on the phone, and they essentially told him that they had in their possession naked photos of Donald Trump. This information, when it was received by Adam Schiff, really, I mean, there's a conversation out there that's taped. I mean, these guys, recorded the conversation. They're DJs, right? Shock jock kind of guys in Russia. So it's out there all over the internet. I suggest you just go out there. The keywords would be Adam Schiff prank, and you'll find it. And when you listen to this recording, and it's about 11 minutes long, that's why I don't have it on the show tonight. But when you listen to this, I mean, he's actually gleeful about receiving naked photos of Donald Trump. And I mean, the more that they go into this conversation, the more and more that the man the more excited he gets. How about, let's put it that way? Okay. Now, I guess you have to ask yourself a question here. Why on earth, even for political reasons, I mean, even for political reasons, even because you're running against another candidate or whatever the case may be, another party, why would anybody want naked photos of the other candidate? Why would they want that? I mean, either you are a complete sleazebag of a politician that will do absolutely anything to damage another person politically. I mean, we have laws against revenge porn now, by the way, Mr. Schiff. Okay. We should start calling it the Schiff law, I guess. Or you're a complete and total pervert. Or the third choice C. And I think probably what's more accurate, in my opinion, strictly in my opinion, is that Adam Schiff is actually secretly sexually attracted to Donald Trump. And there I said it. And that's not the only reason that this particular psychiatrist had this theory. The theory goes on, and just before I go any further, he did say that, listen, in 27 years, he had seen every kind of psychosis, hang up, and everything else that a person can have, plus some that there probably aren't even in the books. So this guy knows what he's talking about. But he goes on to say that if you notice how Adam Schiff, no matter what, he has to continue to intersect with the president's orbit. And you have to understand that normally a person in Adam Schiff's position would have very little to do with a sitting president of the United States. Yet this man continues to bring himself out there and continues to cross paths with Trump intentionally. I mean, think about that. Why would he want to do that? I mean, again, if Adam Schiff is harboring some sort of, again, repressed sexual attraction toward the president, that's fine. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being gay. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, and I'm asking this as an American voter and a citizen, am I, as a citizen in my society, are we paying the price in both blood and treasure for Adam Schiff in his repressed, sexual desire for the president of the United States? Nikki, did you have any thoughts?
Pretty much, I think the same. Or he's got a huge crush on him. I mean, if that's your preference, that's your own business. But don't waste our money for something that's gonna turn up nothing. Seen a lot of that go on lately.
Very much so. I mean, we've had, how many times has the president been investigated now? I mean, we had the Russia thing, which, by the way, the Russians didn't hack our vote. They used social media to hack the weak-minded idiots. That's what they did. But there was the Russian thing. And then there was the impeachment, okay, over the Ukrainian phone call. All right, there was that. I mean, he's been investigated. He's probably the most investigated American citizen I've ever seen in my lifetime, especially to have somebody. I mean, John Gotti, they did have stuff on him, and it's not like he always got off in court was his thing. They would charge him, it'd go to trial, he'd get off. But at least he would get charged. See, Donald Trump is not being charged in any way with any crimes whatsoever. And it seems to be driving the left insane. But at this point, we are in the middle of a pandemic. People are dying. Americans are dying, and Americans are locked down. Our country is no longer free. It's not really a free place right now. I mean, I suppose it depends on how you look at it. But if we're so locked down, and we're supposed to social distance, and we're supposed to do all of those things, well, then, I mean, is Congress really going to huddle up in the basement, at the Capitol again and lock the door? Are they going to huddle up in there with themselves, and are they going to come up with another plot? I mean, aren't they supposed to social distance too? Or is that just something for, their subjects, the American people? And I think that that's something that every Democrat out there should really ask themselves. Did you have any thoughts, Nikki?
I think it's kind of crazy what they're doing. I mean, I thought we're supposed to work together and figure out where this is coming from. We have bigger issues, like I mean, who started this? Like, if China did, then why didn't they say anything? Because they're out to get us. I hate to say it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and then doing this stuff is pointless. We have a pandemic going on. we're probably gonna have a lot more people are gonna be starving in our country. We need to worry about the small business owners. Like one Harold pointed out to me, an onion farmer has to dump all his onions because the restaurants can't get them. I mean, we got bigger things to worry
Absolutely.
about.
Absolutely. And see, that's the problem. It all comes back to, no matter what Donald Trump does, no matter what the president does, he's going to be investigated. Congress is going to investigate no matter what. Now, I would have to ask the average, left-wing Democrat voter out there that hasn't figured it out yet, for some reason, has not registered. I would have to ask, how much more of this can you stomach? I mean, did you vote for your representatives to investigate or to litigate? And I think that's a big question right there, because right now, all that they're doing is investigating. What have the Democrats gotten done? What have the people, since Donald Trump has been elected, what have they gotten done for you? I mean, think about that. They're even politicizing this COVID-19 pandemic, where people, again, American citizens, are dying. I mean, they're using this for political reasons. That when you're talking about all the bills and everything that they're coming out, the relief bills and all of that, I mean, they want to put things like abortion rights, abortion funding in this pandemic bill. Why? What's that have to do with anything? You'll get us coming or going? I mean, come on. Not only that, but they are just dying to give illegal immigrants some of our money that those people are simply not due. They're not due it because they're in this country illegally, and they are in fact breaking the law. But the left doesn't want to hear that. They want to take care of them too. I mean, it's ridiculous. And we continue to live through this. Now, when you're talking about how much President Trump has actually been investigated, okay, all the times he's been investigated, let's look at Dianne Feinstein. I believe she's a senator from California. Okay, Dianne Feinstein is a woman that's been in Congress, one of those dinosaurs that's been in there for decades. Okay, uber liberal. Now she hates the president, hates guns. I mean, she really wants the control over the people. That's what she really gets into. That's what she thrives on. And she is actually co-sponsoring this bill, or not co-sponsoring this investigation, I should say, yet another investigation against the president over the COVID-19 handling. Now, the problem with Dianne Feinstein is just like 2 years ago, it was discovered that her personal driver, because apparently she can't drive, her personal driver, a Chinese man, just so happened to be an actual Chinese spy. Okay, no doubt about it, busted, dead to rights. This guy was spying for China, and he had been her driver for years. But did you hear about that in the news? It came and it went like it was no big deal. Now, if that were a Democrat, we'd still be hearing about that. But this person has the actual audacity, Dianne Feinstein, to investigate anybody when she should be investigated herself. She's another one of these Congress people that got in there making 150 grand a year, so whatever it was she was making, and became a multimillionaire in a matter of a couple of years. Again, the brokers that I want to talk to, I want some of that money too. And we've said this before on the show, that they just absolutely refuse to audit these people. But when it comes to this newest and latest absolutely outrageous investigation, they're going to do like they did the first time, like they did with the impeachment. Are you aware of the fact that they actually put this impeachment through a focus group? Can you imagine that? And this isn't just bullshit either. This is real. This is a true fact. They focus grouped a presidential impeachment. In other words, to break that down into simpler terms, what they did was they gathered a group of people, a group of voters, and they pitched ideas to them. What do you think if we were to impeach the president for this reason? Would you be yay or nay on that? Or that reason, yes or no? That's what a focus group does. I've been a part of a couple of them over the years myself. All right. Now imagine that. We are putting the future of this country and our political system and our freedom at this point, we're putting that in the hands of people that want to put it through a focus group. Nikki, did you have any thoughts on that?
Let's see here. I think that's ridiculous. So they pretty much planned it out before he was even there. I mean, my thing is, I think they should have a limit of term being in there. Maybe we should just vote them all out and start clean.
I think that's a wonderful idea, especially the part about having term limits. I mean, and we've discussed that before on the show as well. The same people butting heads over the same issue for decades, and unfortunately, you've got people like Pelosi. She's in there in a district that's a complete toilet. I mean, literally. I mean, it's a toilet. But there's enough rich people that live in that district to keep voting for her and keep putting her back in office time and time again. So unfortunately, the only choice that we have to get rid of some of these people and get them out of there is to set some kind of a term limit. But the problem with term limits is you have to get Congress to sign off on it and agree. And they're not gonna kill the golden goose. They're not gonna do that to themselves.
Nope.
So I mean, it leaves us very few options. And the other thing I wanted to actually discuss tonight is I wanted to speak with Nikki because Nikki is a wife and a mother of two beautiful children. And I wanted to kind of get her take on what she thinks about the pandemic and how it's actually affected her and her family. Nikki, if you would, please.
So I'm one of the, I'd have to say I'm very lucky. But I know there's a lot of people who are not as lucky. But like for me, I knew I was gonna be the first one laid off as soon as I heard what was going on. So I was waiting for it. So for us, we still have to pay for our daycare because they don't close them because the healthcare people need their daycares for their kids. So we still pay for our daycare um to keep well, that helps her out. So if you look, it's pretty much a tier. We pay her, she's able to feed her family.
Mm-hmm.
Um I went and as soon as I found out that they were gonna lay me off, I went right to the unemployment thing and filed for it. That helps me out, make up what I'm losing from not working. Harold is lucky enough to work from home, but I also know there's a lot of people who are not as lucky as me. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to talk about giving money, I have nothing wrong with illegals and that stuff, but for you to give them money over people who are like, how would you say it, small business owners, I have friends
Mm-hmm.
that don't have that money coming in at all. So it's like, why don't you help them out first? Put
Mm-hmm.
them first and then go from there. I mean, it's crazy. I see it all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much the only one that leaves the house because I'm pretty much the healthiest. Harold has diabetes, so we don't want him going out.
Sure.
I I had a mask on at the store the other day and it was pretty much sweating to death, about ready to pass out because it's too much.
I
But you
see.
want to be safe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh,
So please continue.
I mean, thanks to the government putting like student loans and like forbearance or whatever they did, because I know Harold and I talked about it. That give me money to pay for the daycare, which when I was working, I made enough tips to pay for my daycare provider. So
Right. Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, at least you're getting, some form of relief from the government.
yep,
Um, you know,
and I'm
it,
thankful for that.
Sure, sure. I mean, do you feel, let me ask you this. I mean, do you feel comfortable? And I'll just put it flat out there. Do you feel comfortable with how the president's handled this? And please be honest.
I think he has. I mean, this guy, you gotta look at it this way. He's got everybody coming at him, and he's got this pandemic on him, and people are looking at him to like, okay, what's next? I mean, everybody's on his butt for everything. Me alone, I don't know if I could handle that kind of pressure. Everybody's at you to, I mean, pretty much get you any way you look at
Yep.
it. I would not want that job leading the country.
I especially wouldn't want it to be if I were Donald Trump. I mean, we've never had people working from the inside against the administration, not at least to this degree, you know.
I mean, what happened to you respect the president? Where'd that go?
Right. You at least respect the office. Remember that one? Sure. Sure. I mean, if you think about it, all the horrible things that have been said about Melania Trump, who, appears to be a lovely woman, by all respects. I mean, she's a very active, in community services and things like that. I mean, and let's be honest, I'm just going to throw it out there for the guys out there. Hottest first lady we've ever had by a long shot. No question about it.
I mean,
Sorry.
look at, she was a Playboy, went from being a Playboy model to the first lady. You
She
gotta give her
wasn't
credit for that.
she wasn't a Playboy model, but she had done some nude
Someone
modeling
said that.
no, she'd done some nude modeling in Europe, but that's Europe. I mean, but yeah. And that was when she was a lot younger, that sort of thing.
I mean,
But
give you credit.
absolutely. Now she's the first lady, I mean, come on. But as bad or as much as she has done for the country, everybody has mocked her. I mean, I saw Jimmy Kimmel get on there and openly mock Melania Trump on his show. She was actually reading to children, and he began to mock her accent. Okay. Now, this is the same guy that is for immigrant rights above all else. And he's absolutely pro-immigrant, pro-illegal immigrant, I guess we could say. And I swear, that hypocritical son of a bitch got up there on his show and actually mocked Melania Trump, like, because dies and dat. I mean, the woman's European. She speaks like 6 languages. I don't know how many languages that asshole speaks, Come on. Just another example of, the left.
I mean, the other thing, they attack his kid. That is wrong. That is disgusting.
Constantly. Can you imagine for a moment if they had attacked Michelle Obama or Obama's daughters? Can you imagine the shitstorm that would have caused?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they would have been rioting in the streets over that kind of shit. Everything's racist. But it didn't happen I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that there are some idiots out there that hung Obama in effigy and all of that. But by and large, that stuff was really few and far between. And people just didn't like Obama. It wasn't like mad dog raw hatred, like you walk through the fire just to spit on his corpse kind of thing. And that's what I like with Trump. It's like they're rabid. And it's not just Adam Schiff. It's all of the people that are on the left, the squad, with the foreigner in power in our government. We've talked about that on the show as well. But I guess one of my questions at this point is, after this pandemic thing subsides, and it will, okay? I mean, this disease will pass just like every other, disease that we've ever had. I mean, look how many peasants that the Black Plague wiped out. I mean, are we still on the planet? Yep. There was still somebody alive to breed. Okay. And it has been in every Spanish flu and every other pandemic that we've faced, at least in recorded history. And obviously before that, because again, we're here. Right. But my question is, now that these governors have been able to flex certain muscles and utilize certain powers and certain parts of their state constitutions that's probably never had to have been used before, specifically talking about limiting business, curfews, stay-at-home orders, things of that nature. When this thing blows over, I think it's going to be very interesting to see which one of the governors just immediately allow their people to go right back to work and right back to business, or which ones are going to try to hold on to this as long as possible. And specifically, I'm talking to Mike DeWine, and I'm talking about Mike DeWine. 1 second, folks. In Ohio, he's the governor of Ohio. So he's probably one of the stricter, I think, stay-at-home order states that I've heard about it in terms of restrictions. I actually happen to be from there, so I am personally familiar with Mike DeWine. And I think it's going to be very interesting whether or not these people are going to try to seize some power now that they've had a taste of it. Nikki, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, they'd be crazy to try to do that because people are not going to stay home. If they don't want to stay home now, there'll be an uprising, as you would call it. I mean,
absolutely.
I've been watching our governor. She's doing okay. I mean, what can you do with what's going on? You got teenagers running around. Other people don't want to stay confined. I don't want to stay confined, but I do.
Sure.
For the safety of my kids.
Yep. I mean, we all have to take one for the team. If I can interrupt for just one moment, I'm really sorry. I have Tim with us from UFO Man. He's going to join us. Hey, Tim, how are you?
I'm good. You're going to have to put me some other way. There you go. Hi, Nikki. Welcome to the group.
Thanks, Nikki. Thanks,
Sorry,
Tim,
I'm
for coming.
late, man.
That's all right, man. No problem. So anyway, we were just talking about the state governors, and now that they've been able to flex their muscles over the people, and and utilize some powers that they've never really been able to utilize before as governors, are they going to give that back easily? I guess is the question. What are your thoughts on that, Tim?
If they're federally required to do so, then I think they have no choice. But if they're not, and they are allowed their own discretion as to what to allow and what not to allow, I think some of them are going to be very restrictive because they're going to be unsure of the federal government's knowledge in regards to the coronavirus. They're not necessarily going to accept the fact that, hey, we should reopen the market, and hey, we should put people back to work, and blah blah blah. What I'm thinking is that, in fact, I watched the other day. I watched a video online about what was it? A lady said that her governor had just issued orders to make everyone stay in at night. So there was a curfew then. And also, he had just issued orders that if anybody went outside, they had to wear a mask. And if they were caught without a mask in his state, they could be facing 60 days in jail or a $5,000 fine, or both.
Yeah, see, that sounds an awful lot like martial law.
Yeah, that does to me too. Yes.
Yeah, an awful lot like martial law. The only thing missing from that scenario are military boots on the ground, National Guard troops. That's the only thing missing from that.
Right, exactly. I agree.
And as far as these governors, look, I've been isolated myself. I've limited my contact with other people, and I've done that. And I've done that not because I feel like the government's telling me or forcing me to do it. I'm doing that out of concern for my own people. I mean, for the American people at this point. I don't want it, and if I have it or if I can spread it or whatever, I don't want to be a part of that. I do not want to be a part of that equation. And Nikki was just saying exactly the same thing. I mean, she's only going out for emergency supplies when needed and things of that nature. And but again, I fear that these governors are going to get used to this. Oh, well, we can just tell you what to do now, and that's the way it is. And we may end up with some problems here. They're going to have to go through the courts at the very least. Go through the courts.
Fauci from the National Institute of Health came out the other day, and he said that he's thinking that we're going to have permanent restrictions.
Right.
So that means permanent curfews, permanent mask usage, permanent social distancing, permanent no handshaking, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Imagine no more movie theaters. Not that I give two shits about Hollywood. In fact, I'd like to see the whole damn place burn down myself, but no more movie theaters, no more rock concerts, no more boxing matches, no more sporting events, period, really, because, you're right next to somebody, 30, 40,000 people, whatever.
Yep.
And
no
all of
more
that.
Sports for kids in high school, no more band practice, no more anything like that.
Right.
No more festivals, no fairs, no carnivals, nothing.
Class sizes of like 10 kids, things like that.
Gone. Everything gone. Everything that we knew as a society concerning what we figured was freedom will be gone.
Right, exactly. Nikki, did you have any thoughts on that?
I was just thinking, if they do decide to do that, they really should think about the money that's going to be lost. If you think at these different venues and the taxes that they charge for these, lots of money is going to be going bye-bye. So if someone does that, where are they going to get the money?
Exactly.
Well, it sounds to me like they'll just print their own, because look what they did with the $2.2 trillion stimulus bill. Okay, what is it? Pelosi just came out with a statement saying, oh, I'm going to put out my own bill, and it's going to be a $2.5 trillion bill, okay? Because she doesn't like Trump's bill. So she's putting out another one. So I figure they'll just print their own money and then make our dollar worthless, because they'll flood the market with bills, correct? and that'll devalue our money, and then pretty much our economy will be crashed that way. So all I know is this: you have a very good, valid point there, Nikki. But what I want to say is I lost my train of thought. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, to Nikki's point, the reason that and she was saying this actually backstage, that the reason that they're cranking up yet another, or one of the reasons that they're cranking up yet another investigation against the president on his handling of this pandemic, is that he's doing a good job.
Yeah, that's true. They don't want to give him a win.
That's
right.
They
do not want to show him in a kind light. In fact, later I have a 1-minute 43-second video that proves that point.
Okay, you want to roll that now?
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me share it. No, I got to go back. I got to stop sharing. Hold on. I got to go back because there's that stupid box. Okay, we got it. All right, here we go.
Speaker Pelosi will establish the Select Committee on the Coronavirus Crisis. We are told that this will check where the money goes. In fact, it will be an all-purpose investigation designed to make corporations, banks, and the president look bad right before the election. We've been through this before, but now, with the virus disaster upon us, the criticism will be ratcheted up to a whole new level, again, right before the election. Now, there's nothing wrong with accountability. When you're handing out and throwing around over $2 trillion, we ought to know who gets what and why. But does the Speaker have to conduct a probe at precisely the time that the nation is fighting a uniquely destructive challenge? You know what's going on here, and you know what's coming. Congressman Adam Schiff and perhaps Congressman Gerald Nadler, they'll be called on to pour out their anger at the president, and it'll all be very public. The banks that lend money to distressed businesses, they'll be called vultures and thieves. And drug companies will be called profiteers. And throughout it all, in the background, will be the lawyers, eager to pin liability on anyone with deep pockets so they can grab 30% of the take. It is divisive, it is politics at its worst, and it is desperation. Speaker Pelosi knows that the Democrats are in an extremely weak position, so she is grabbing the last available option, the one she's used before. Investigate, investigate, investigate at all costs.
Thank you.
Prime the president right before the election.
Yep, that's it.
That's right. That's it right there. All of this is strictly political. I mean, this isn't about justice. This isn't about, investigating where the money's going and all that. I mean, the Democrats had to put $25 million into the Kennedy Center for the performing arts. Okay. And then what did the Kennedy Center do? They turned around and they fired all their employees, put them on the unemployment line. Now, where'd the goddamn money go? That's what I want to know. But, they don't want to talk about that.
Pockets, of course. And since we don't audit politicians, you'll never know where the money went.
Well, and you just like but Pelosi and just like all the rest of the Democrat voters out there, they go, "Oh, we don't care." And that's exactly what they're going to do. They don't give a damn about where that money's going.
I got to say something about that. Pelosi right now is trying to exclude seniors and people on Social Security in the next stimulus bill. And the reason why is she says they're not necessary for the economy to grow. Well, she doesn't have to worry, even though she's a senior, because what is she worth now? 170 million plus. And how did she get that? She got that from those legal deals in Ukraine. So all I know is you got to think about that. It's because she has $170 million. She doesn't care. She doesn't care. That is the truth. She does not care. She needs to be removed from office.
What are your thoughts about that, Nikki? I mean, the folks that are being cut off, that she wants to cut off seniors and people that are on disability. and basically give that money to the illegals. I mean, how does that make you feel as just a regular American?
I think that's bull crap, to be honest.
Sure. Outrageous.
They were here even before me. Like the seniors and stuff, that'd be like my grandma if she was still living.
Sure.
That is bull crap. She put her time in. She ran a business when her husband died. So why wouldn't she get help? She paid in.
And she's still going. If she were alive, she would still be going to the grocery store, still buying
spending money
and services, which in fact supports our economy. So basically, we need the 1,200 as well. I'm disabled. I'm in a wheelchair, and I have to honestly say I need the money as well because I got to go out and buy goods and services. I got to pay for where I live.
Yep.
I got to pay for some of my health care. So it's like, come on. What are you thinking?
Grandma's money's green as hell.
Well,
Green, just as green as everybody else's.
I have
Go
one
for it.
for you.
Please.
So my uncle came from Mexico, got his papers and everything, and his daughter has spinal bifida. He went to go get help and couldn't get help, but he's still working to this day at a packing plant to provide for his family. So tell me, why couldn't he get help? Bigger help these other people's first. That is wrong.
Unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, what it amounts to, and the average Democrat voter has not figured this out yet. And I don't know how much more obvious it could be, really. It's something called the long con. And what do I mean by that? Well, the long con is a con. It's a cheat, and it's something that takes a long time to mature. Now, what do I mean in this case? Well, what I'm saying here is that it's a betting game, really, for the Democrats. See, the reason that they're so keen on illegal immigrants versus, their own constituents, Americans, the reason is because they know that the typical Hispanic family is going to have something like 6.5 children, and the average American couple is going to have something like 2.5 children. So, where's the future voting base at there? Where are the more people going to be? And Exactly. And they figure the Hispanic people are going to grow up and they're citizens. They're going to grow up and they're going to vote their way because they're going to say, well, they were always the ones trying to get a citizenship in the first place. And that's the long con. And folks, that's what's going on here.
Yeah. They don't really care about the Hispanic society. What they care about are votes.
More subjects.
They don't care about you. That's why he didn't get the help. That's exactly why. Because all they wanted was his vote.
Well, and the Democrats are notorious for showing up with a promising paradise to their base every 4 years, and then as soon as they get their vote, they walk away like, "Oh, sorry, maybe better luck next time." And I mean, that's one of the things that really used to just stick in my craw when I was a Democrat, was that I saw that multiple times. But for some reason, and I guess it was because my family and all of that. But for some reason, I went ahead and I continued to vote Democrat. I was one of those people. I'll do it. That was me. Okay. Nikki, have you always been? Well, let me put it this way, Nikki. I don't know your political leanings. I mean, have you ever voted Democrat before? Are you Republican or?
For me, I kind of consider myself neither.
Independent.
I kind of look at it this way, like who's going to help me out in the long run. That's why I voted the way I did before. I was like, okay, this person's new, so let's see what this person's got.
So basically, you're an independent.
Pretty much. I mean,
that's what an independent is. Yeah.
I mean, so let's see what this person's got, and if he helps me out, whatever. Okay, good. Then I'll vote for him again. If not, then I'll vote him out. Isn't that how our politics work?
Yes.
I see another person and what they did, and I'm like, absolutely not.
Well, one of the things that's really starting to get disturbing for me, and I bet it is for you folks too, and everybody out there watching this, is have you noticed how in spite of all of the investigations and all of the different ways that the Democrats have literally tried to steal the vote of anyone that voted for Donald Trump, and I mean outright steal it, all the different ways and investigations that they've tried to accomplish this. And now, because of this pandemic, they want us to go to a strictly vote by mail system.
Ooh,
and they were pushing this over as hard as they can push it. And here's the thing. I mean, we've got another, 7-8 months, something like that before the election. So we've got plenty of time for this thing to go to work its way out of, existence or whatever diseases do. So, I mean, I guess let's start with Nikki. Nikki, what are your thoughts after everything is said and done here? Do you trust the government to count your vote if you send it in?
I would probably say not. I mean, how easy is you can wash that off?
In primary in where was it? Iowa? Yeah, I think it was Iowa.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Sorry. It was nearby. There were a whole bunch of ballots found in like a mail bin in a garbage area. So they weren't even counted.
Right.
They were just sitting there. They were just thrown out, like you said, Nikki. They were thrown out. What I'm afraid of is I've heard that some of those machines that you drop your paper ballot in, the ones that you slide your paper into, if you're voting in person, or even if you're voting by mail, they can tamper with the actual vote. So that's why they're going with like you said, Nikki, that's why they're pushing for the mail-in vote, because there's no oversight on what they do with your vote after they get it. There's absolutely no oversight.
Well, this guy voted for Trump. Oh, didn't see it. This guy voted for Trump. Oh, didn't see it. I mean, I'm sorry, but when we're at a point in our democracy, in our country, in our society, when we have to question the validity of our vote in any form, there's a serious problem. Okay. And frankly, for one, I don't trust the system anymore. After what I've seen the Democrats get away with, from the Brett Kavanaugh thing to the persecution, and I mean persecution of Donald Trump, I don't trust him. I'm sorry, I just don't trust him. I don't give a damn how sick I'll get. I don't care if I'm going to go in there and get Ebola. I tell you what I'm going to do. Come election day, I'm going to drive my ass to the library and I'm going to walk up in there and I'm going to vote. And that's how I'm going to do it.
I intend to go in and vote in person as well. Yeah. I'll wear a mask. I'll wear gloves. I'll do what I need to do, and I'll wheel my butt in there, and I will vote in person. I still don't trust those machines, though, that accept your card vote, because I heard that they can actually mess up your vote when you slide it in.
I've heard those rumors too, and we can only hope that there's a great deal. Especially, I hope that I know Trump has got just a great deal on his plate. He's got more on his plate than I would say any president in history. I mean, he really has. It's amazing that the man's got all the things done that he's got done. I mean, my hat's off to the dude. It really is. That being said, with the, let's just say, thirst for Donald Trump's head for his presidency, I can't trust. I just don't trust my own government anymore. And I never really trusted them, but when it came to counting the vote, yeah, I mean, I gave him the benefit of the doubt on that one, because that's what this whole country's based on. Tim?
I also believe that this is also based on a power struggle between Pelosi, the Dems, and Trump, because Pelosi is acting like she has more power than the president. And she's coming out with news press releases and news conferences like the president does. Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's acting like she is president.
Right.
And that's not the case. And I don't know one sane person other than the people on the far left that actually want Pelosi for president. In fact, I've heard a lot of radical Democrats are actually turning against her now. They're actually starting to turn against her, Tommy. And they're realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is wrong.
Let's hope there's some sanity in government at this point, because to open a new investigation, first of all, I think Trump has done a fine job. I'll just say that personally. I have no problem.
I couldn't do it. Could you?
Yeah. No, nor would I want that job. And I'm sure that when a president gets elected, excuse me, folks, when a president gets elected in this country, I'm sure that I'm sure what nuclear war comes way in front of, in their mind's eye, in their thinking, is way before a pandemic. I mean, you have to understand that, that's why they say we'll never be the same again and all this other crap. Well, this is the first time this shit's happened in how many generations? You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it's 1918. I mean, my God, my grandfather wasn't even born yet, So it's not like, I just don't see that happening. But that's the thing. The media and the left and the government, they continue to push. And I think Fauci's a leftist too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, everybody wants to get Fauci out.
Yeah, but right now, you can't. There's something a guy I used to work with used to say. It's a great saying, but I won't say it on the show. It is a good one. But in other words, you don't change horses in the middle of the stream. Let's just say that, okay?
Yeah, okay.
But it's anyway. But that being said, I mean, here we go again. They are telling us a social distance. They are telling us that we're locked down. They're telling us that we can't go to work. That what they're doing is they want to put as many people as they can on the government tit. Okay, they want to take care of the people cradle to grave, because when you're a citizen of a country and your government is paying for everything for you, they pay you not to work, they pay for your bills, they pay all these things. You're no longer a citizen of that country. No. You are now a subject of the government.
Right.
And these young kids that want to do back Bernie Sanders, they didn't understand that. No. Nikki, did you have any thoughts?
Let's see here. I mean, I don't know. Some of these things you think about. Okay, like I used to tell my clients all the time, we're strong enough we're strong enough. We're a pretty good country, So why do we still have kids starving in our country? Because we're out busy trying to help these other countries. Why don't we put our own country first?
Exactly.
Like Donald Trump's been preaching for years.
I mean, like with the abortion thing. Okay, this has been going on how long? There's better advanced birth control out there. So why don't we fund that, of getting everybody birth control if they want it or not? Or you're responsible for, you go out there, you make that choice. I went and had the implant in my arm. So then that's good for 3 years. No babies.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, it's like we've always said, there are 18 different forms of birth control the woman can choose from in 21st century.
Yes, it's their body. So if you don't want any, do the right thing, or figure out something. I did.
You don't have unprotected sex if you're not prepared to face the consequences of that.
Personal responsibility.
Right. You got accountability. Yeah.
They even got the Plan B pill. If you want to do that, go out, buy that pill. $50 a pop. Start putting back into the economy.
Right. Sure. I mean, there you go. That's a great way of looking at it. But a woman, let's say that on the left, her first thought is it's my body, my baby, my body, and I'll do it my way. Well, first of all, that level of thinking right there completely cuts the man out of the decision, which is wrong. It's one of those equality things. I mean, that woman didn't conceive that baby by herself. That half of that baby's DNA belongs to the man. Okay. So, I mean, I've always been one of those that, they say, well, it's my decision. Well, what makes it your decision? I mean, just because you're, forgive me, but the container, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that doesn't, what is this? Possession is 9/10 of the law bullshit. I mean, men have absolutely no say. And that's going to be a show topic for another time, but men have absolutely no say. Now, the last thing
and it's getting worse.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have the right to remain silent, and that's it. And here's what really galls me. I mean, like this Birds of Prey movie, this what is it? The Tales of some blonde chick or whatever. It's I can't think of it right now. It's a movie that came out. It's like Charlie's Angels, directed by Elizabeth Banks. Charlie's Angels is an action movie that's a non-action movie, and all they wanted to do was exploit sexism and basically dump on men. And, I guess that makes them feel as women empowered or whatever. That being said, the movie sucked, apparently. I didn't see it, but it sucked. It made no money. And what did she do? She came right out and she blamed men and sexism. Okay. She didn't take personal responsibility that maybe she just directed a bad film. That never occurred to this person. It was automatically, it must be men's fault because men didn't come out to see it. But the thing about Elizabeth Banks, much like this Harley Quinn, that's the movie. Much like this Harley Quinn director.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, she's coming out and saying, well, it's not a flop. Yes, it is a flop. And no, it's not men's fault. Because here's the thing. If the movie was so great, then, well, shit, why didn't women come out to see it? Because, that would have boosted ticket sales. But apparently, according to the numbers, women didn't come out to see it either. So how is that men's fault? Take responsibility for the good things that you do and own up to your failures. And that's how we learn how to grow as human beings.
Correct.
Nikki, did you have any thoughts on that?
So it's kind of like, look at Aquaman when that came out.
Mhm.
I can probably say about maybe 85% of the went seeing it was women.
Yeah,
Maybe more.
sure.
We're
Oh yeah,
just
I
as
know
bad.
a lot of
I'm
women
not
that
gonna
don't
lie.
too.
I mean, it's just like, you gotta look at it. They're so worried about getting Trump or doing things to Trump. They're not even worried about things that they can fix in their own country, like help find a way to feed the starving kids, find a better birth control plan.
Take care of our vets, for God's
That
sake.
too.
How about that?
How many of them are killing themselves a day?
Right. Or homeless or starving and all
How
those
about
things.
disabled vets?
Yep,
That too. I mean, what a great point. I mean, and like Nikki said, we're not taking care of our own. We're trying to give everything that we work for and our ancestors worked for to people that are here illegally. And again, we discussed why, but it's the numbers thing. It's the long con. Which leads me to my next point. Athletes. Okay. These overpaid, opinionated athletes that do nothing but give us their opinion about how we should live and how we should think. And if we don't think exactly the way that they do, that we're racist or we're sexist or we're homophobic or we're something, or we're just beneath them.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
These people are being paid millions of dollars a year, okay, to play a kid's game. But I noticed something. This pandemic thing has really, really opened my eyes to something. We don't really have any live sports going on right now, and life's going on.
Yeah,
life is moving on.
We really don't need them.
No.
The one. Well, although I gotta say, sports did bring us all together. As one big family that supported the sport. The thing is it was taken too far. Sports were taken too far. When I heard the NBA player came out the other day and he said point blank, we're not going to play anymore. We're not going to come back and play after the pandemic if Trump is reelected. They came right out and said that.
Oh my God.
And Tommy was like, good.
Hey, man. No problem.
Yeah. He looked at that. Now, I have to honestly say I'm a big NFL fan, obviously, because of the hat. But what I'm going to say is I'm going to miss football, but I'm not going to miss football because if I could just have 1/10 of their salary for 1 week and then take that money and redistribute it to the poor, we wouldn't have hungry people.
Sure.
Because who needs $150 million for 3 years of playing football? College people don't. College ball, when they play college football, they play for pride. They don't. They play for the game. They don't play for $150 million.
Right, and their likenesses are used without their permission for video games, all that crap. But Nikki, what are your thoughts on no sports?
I miss the dirt track racing. That kind of upset me a little bit, but I mean, there's always next year.
Although dirt track racing, you're kind of far apart. So I don't know why that stopped.
Dirt track racing. Yeah, my dad did it for 40 years. I mean, kept us out of trouble. I mean, I guess these basketball players need to look at it this way. You don't play, you can be replaced with someone who really wants to play and probably will take less than what you were getting paid.
Yeah. We always thought that it should be on like a basis of if you produce
merit based,
then you get this much money, but you get a base salary of like, I don't know, $1 million a year. Just say $1 million, because a lot of them get $200 million. Why don't you just give them $1 million? And then if they actually deserve it, put it on a merit-based system like Tommy was saying.
Sure. And keep your ass out of politics. Keep your opinion to yourself. I don't care. I mean, I'm just so sick and tired.
Flag when the flag is shown at the beginning of the game, don't kneel down. I want you to stand up.
Right.
Because all the soldiers that gave you the freedom to play the game
and make that kind of money to play a kid's game.
Watching at the moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sports is something that we can absolutely live without. We can certainly live without the opinionated bullshit of these people. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And I hope if we come out and learn any lessons at all, I hope that that's one of them. And I just really hope that that's the case, because these people need to be begging for their supper, frankly. And that's just how I feel about it.
Them and actors.
Exactly. And while these people are begging for my hard-earned cash, don't bother to tell me what a racist piece of shit I am, okay? Because when you do that, my wallet goes right back in my pocket, and you don't get a dime of that. That's the bottom line.
Right. The more of us that refrain from spending that almighty dollar toward their direction, the poorer they become, and the less attention they get. Because most of those people are just in it for the attention, anyways.
Right, and that's why they behave the way they behave on Twitter and all of that. That's what it's about. That's why that NBA player said what he said that you were referring to. It's the same thing. I mean, you think so? I'm going to go ahead. Oh well, geez, if I'm not going to vote for the president, I think that's going to put money in my pocket if I can't watch this asshole dribble a basketball. I don't think so. I don't think that's the way I'm going to see it, folks. You know what I mean? Well, listen, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and bring it home. I want to thank everybody that came out for the show. Really appreciate the support and the love. Thanks for the great comments and everything, guys. Keep them coming. If you have any questions or whatever, put them in the comments on this video. That would be fantastic. I want to thank Nikki, very special guest, Nikki.
Thanks, Nick.
For coming out tonight. Again, I wanted to bring out Nikki because I know she's and we spoke about this. Nikki's an average person, and we wanted to know how she felt about
I'm average too.
And then we've got my co-host Tim. As always, he's with me tonight, and a lot of people think that he's my parole officer. The fact is, it's just probation.
Yeah. By the way, I still have your cuffs.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we'll see. The internet got it wrong again, didn't they?
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and go right back to what we started with here. I just, at this point, and I know this may sound ridiculous, but I really, and I'm not the only person thinking this, I'm sure, I want to make sure that Adam Schiff's personal feelings for the president are not dictating his actions that are destroying the very fabric of this nation. I really want to make sure that that's the case. And I think that the question should be asked, because, I mean, when you're hot to get naked pictures of another man, even for political reasons, I'd be like, ooh, I don't want that. I mean, come on, what are you gonna do with those? What are you going to do with them?
That sounds like that guy, Joseph Wiener. Didn't he do that?
Anthony Weiner.
Anthony Weiner.
Yeah, he was just like to take pictures of his junk and send it to young girls for some reason, But I mean, again, we talked about how the former mayor of Tampa, Florida, I'm not using any names, and the guy that the gubernatorial candidate last time for Florida was found in that hotel room with a gay prostitute, and I guess he was naked, or at least that was what I heard. Hard drugs involved. So it happens. It happens when people cover up their true sexuality to get into politics. And at this point, with Adam Schiff's behavior, and honestly, I'm not trying to be a smart ass here, and I'm not trying to, to badmouth gay people at all. If he's gay, I think it's fine. But I think that he needs to come out of the closet at this point and stop using his, how can I put this?
Hidden agenda.
Right. Not using his, exactly. His hidden agenda or his hidden feelings, or possible feelings, for the president, whatever they may be. I just don't think that there's any place in American politics for that. I mean, if the guy does in fact have a crush on Trump, if that's really the case, then at that point, I mean, he either needs to admit that or he needs to move on. And I'm sorry, but I can think of no other logical reason that Adam Schiff would want to cross paths with the president as often as he does. I mean, because it's not good for the Democrats politically, because I know Democrats are tired of this shit too.
I always thought maybe Schiff was doing that because he actually had feelings for Pelosi. He was trying to impress Pelosi.
Well, I mean, if he does, I mean, his wife's a lot better than, Skeletor for sure.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, and this guy, the Florida gubernatorial candidate who shall remain nameless, I mean, the guy had a picture perfect family, beautiful wife, beautiful little kids, whole 9 yards. But guess what? If you're caught in a hotel room with drugs and there's semen or there's feces on the bed and you're in there with a gay prostitute or two, you're probably hiding something. I'm just putting it out there. So anyway, folks, we are going to be going here. And what is it, Tim? Half an hour?
No, we are going at 9:30
Okay.
Central Standard Time. So that's in an hour and a half.
Okay, so in an hour and a half, we are going to be going over to Tim's channel, UFO Man. Please go over there and check us out. It's going to be a UFO video review this evening. There's a lot of great stuff on there, and we'll see you there. While you're here, please do me a huge favor. Go out and visit my website, TommyHighway.com, and purchase some books. That would really help me out. Otherwise, please go ahead and hit that like button. And please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscription button. It really helps me out a lot. I want to thank my guests. I want to thank Tim. I want to thank Nikki, of course. Thank you, folks, for being here, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, no problem.